make your day. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV. From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin, all across Nigeria, we bring you news and information that will make your day. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV.
And 2027 coalition crisis brews as ADC chairman set terms for alliance. Recapitalization, five banks hit CBN target ahead of deadline, and Nigeria's unity under attack from terrorists, separatists. That's the president talking this morning. Grace, over to you.
Yes, and from the Vanguard newspapers, the headline reads 2027, I'm running for president, not in talks to be Atiku's VP. That's Obi. Nigeria dead before Tinubu took over, according to Wiki. Delta North LG chairman disowned Anioma state creation document. Okweblo okays 1 billion naira annual bursary for Edo student. Then Tinubu may only get 30% northern vote in 2027. That's according to Zainab Galadima. So from the Vanguard, BRIC voiced serious concern about Trump tariff hurting global economy. More of this, these are more from the Vanguard newspaper.
All right. Well, the program is today in the dailies, and we'll be back right after this time out. Do stay with us. 10 states borrow 417 billion naira despite higher allocations. Once again, I want to apologize for the poor audio quality at the onset of the program. Like I said, the first story says 10 states borrow 417 billion naira despite higher allocations. At least 10 Nigerian states collectively increased their domestic debt by 417.7 billion naira year on year, despite a significant rise in revenue allocations from the Federation Account Allocation Committee. A review of official data has shown. An analysis of the Debt Management Office's quarterly report on subnational debt reveals that Rivers, Enugu, Niger, Taraba, Bauchi, Benue, Gombe, Edo, Kwara, and Nasarawa raised their combined debt stock from 884.9 billion naira in the first quarter of 2024 to 1.3 trillion naira in the first quarter of 2025. This represents a 47.2% year-on-year increase, raising questions about fiscal prudence and long-term sustainability of borrowing at the state level. The data also shows that the 10 states combined domestic debt increased quarter on quarter from 1.26 trillion in the fourth quarter of 2024 to 1.30 quarter, pardon, to 1.30 trillion naira in the first quarter of 2025. An additional 42.3 billion naira, representing a 3.4% increase in just 3 months. That's a very interesting one coming to you from the front page of the Punch this morning. Well, I dare say that the federal allocation has increased, in threefold.
Yes.
So what's the borrowing all about then?
Well,
You're
they know
laughing.
better.
Is it a laughing matter?
All right, from the Vanguard newspaper, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, yesterday said the country was practically dead before President Bola Tinubu assumed office. While acknowledging that Nigeria still faces serious challenges, Wike said the president has taken difficult but necessary decisions that will help the country recover. He also cautioned Christian faithful against making what he described as another mistake in the choice of Nigeria's president in 2027, noting that the church nearly made a fatal error in 2023 due to sentimental attachment. Wike advised St. James Anglican Church in Asokoro, Abuja, where he led some associates in the Thanksgiving service to God following the successful commissioning of 16 projects in the nation's capital. For more updates on that, check the Vanguard newspaper.
And now on to the next story coming to you from the Punch. And it's about the ADC, which is now seen as the coalition, the Imagine Coalition. In 2027, coalition crisis brew and set terms for alliance. I dare say it's not yet Uhuru. The collapse of all structures of the African Democratic Congress, as announced by the former chairman, Ralph Nwosu, to enable a new leadership to drive a coalition of forces ahead of the 2027 general election, is not sitting well with some state chairmen of the party. A coalition powered by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar announced the adoption of ADC as a platform aimed at thwarting the second-term bid of President Bola Tinubu in 2027. It subsequently named former Senate President David Mark and ex-Osun State Governor Ralph Aregbesola as the interim national chairman and national secretary, respectively, while Bolaji Abdullahi, an ex-minister of sports, was named the interim national publicity secretary. Well, I keep asking myself, Grace, is it all about ousting President Tinubu or actually making things better for the teeming masses of Nigeria?
I think it's based on concept or usage of sentences or words, because the other team would say we want a better Nigeria, then others would say this is their target of what they want to achieve. So, but I guess wanting a better Nigeria requires some action as well.
Well, perhaps I should rephrase my question. When the leading figures in the new party, it's not actually a new party, but in the new coalition,
Yes.
and that platform, the ADC, when they talk, the main focus seems to be ousting the incumbent president and nothing else. So what exactly is going on? That's my focus. When the APC teamed together, it was I think a combination of two parties then, the former president's CPC and Jagaban's party then, to form the APC. They had a well spelled out manifesto. Everybody knew what it was all about, but this one seems to be targeted at the incumbent president.
Targeted at the president with another agenda to make, according to them, to make Nigerians.
I wouldn't want to say that you're defending them, the way you're going about
I
this
am
matter.
not. It is. I'm quoting them actually. It's not my words.
Okay, good. Let's all wait and see. Well, since talking about Imagine events in the political scenery in Nigeria, Makinde's loyalist resigns as PDP chair in protest. Well, the PDP, from all indications, is in disarray presently, so it's neither here nor there. The chairman of the People's Democratic Party in Ibadan, North Local Government Area of Oyo State, Seun Adelore, has formally resigned his membership from the PDP in the state, the Punch learned on Sunday. Adelore, a close associate of Governor Seyi Makinde, in his resignation letter, cited what he described as deep-seated injustice within the party, a lack of reward for loyalty, and a growing departure from democratic principles. In the letter, a copy of which was obtained by a correspondent in Ibadan, the state capital, on Sunday, Adelore alleged that the party was increasingly being run like a private enterprise by select factions in the state. That's coming from your state, but that seems to be a replica of what is happening everywhere else across the length and breadth of the country presently.
Sure.
For more on that story, check it out on From the Punch. Makende's loyalist resigns as PDP chair in protest.
Yes, and from Delta State, the chairman of the 9 local government areas in Delta North have distanced themselves from a document purportedly endorsing the creation of a Neoma state, alleging that their signatures and official stamps were forged. Recall that Senator Negmoko, representing Delta North Senatorial District, had championed the movement for the creation of a Neoma state at a public hearing, presenting a document allegedly bearing the signatures and stamps of the 9 Delta North local government chairmen. However, the chairmen have disowned the document, which has been circulating on social media, stating that none of them has held any private meeting with Senator Nwoko regarding the purported state creation effort. For more updates on that, the Vanguard newspaper is your guide.
And now on to the Nation newspaper. I'm still not done with the ADC and the Imagine coalition. Mark Adegbeshola takeover in conflict with the ADC constitution. That's a story you'll find in the Nation today. Coalition members who last week took over the leadership of the African Democratic Congress (ADC) did not follow the process of leadership change as stipulated in its constitution. On Thursday, National Chairman Ralph Nwosu resigned to pave the way for former Senate President David Mark, who was announced as the new chairman. Former Interior Minister Ralph Adegbeshola was made the National Secretary, and former Sports Minister Balaji Abdullahi was declared as National Publicity Secretary, all of them on an interim basis. The elaborate ceremony was attended by former Vice President and Coalition Coordinator Atiku Abubakar, many ex-governors and ex-ministers who are coalition members. Like I said, it's neither here nor there. The ADC, well, former members, or should I say original members of the ADC, are complaining about the way their party has been overrun and taken over by the quote and unquote bigwigs in Nigeria's political space.
And then, still from the Vanguard, Governor Monday Okwebelo of Edo State has approved 1 billion naira as bursary support for students of Edo State origin in tertiary institutions across the country. Governor Okwebelo, who announced this during a town hall meeting with young people in Edo State, pledged to consider a request by various youth leaders. The youth has called for a support in the students of the state. So that's according to the Vanguard report. So you can check the newspaper for the complete report.
Yes, on to another story from the Punch this morning, and this one is credited to the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Nigeria's unity under attack from terrorists, separatists, Tinubu. President Bola Tinubu has described terrorism, insurgency, banditry, and separatist movements as grave existential threats to Nigeria's unity, warning that they must no longer be seen as minor disturbances. He therefore ordered the Nigerian Armed Forces and security agencies to decisively confront terrorists, bandits, insurgents, and separatist agitators threatening the nation's unity and peace. Delivering the president's message at the grand finale of the 2025 Nigerian Army Day celebration held on Sunday at Murtala Square, Kaduna, Vice President Kashim Shettima said the military had the full backing of the presidency to act without fear or hesitation. Well, let's wait and see what happens after the marching order. Nigeria's unity under attack from terrorist separatists, Tinubu. That's another story you'll find in the Punch today.
Then this one still from the Vanguard. Zainab Galadima, daughter of New Nigeria People's Party chieftain Buba Galadima, believes President Bola Tinubu could secure as little as 30% of votes from the northern region in the 2027 presidential election. Speaking on the MyCon podcast hosted by Channels Television journalist Sheon, Zainab described the upcoming election as likely Tinubu's most difficult political challenge yet. That's Tinubu may only gauge 30% northern vote in 2027, according to Zainab Galadima. For more updates on that, Vanguard newspaper is your guide. And still from the Vanguard, BRICS leaders meeting in Rio de Janeiro Sunday warned that US President Donald Trump's indiscriminate import tariff risks hurting the global economy. The 11 emerging nations, including Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, represent about half the world's population and 40% of global economic output. The bloc is divided about much, but has found common cause when it comes to the mercurial U.S. leader and his top start tariff wars. For more updates on that, the Vanguard newspaper is your guide.
Now, on to the next story. This one is coming to you from The Guardian and is still on the APC. 2027 election will be APC versus Nigerians, not parties. ADC chieftain. Well, there are always two sides to a coin. A chieftain of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, Dr. Peter Oke, has said the 2027 presidential election will be a direct contest between the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, and Nigerians affected by current socio-economic conditions rather than a contest between political parties. Speaking to journalists in Abakaliki on Sunday, Oke said the coalition movement involving various political actors and platforms is gaining momentum due to the economic difficulties confronting citizens across the country. And I quote, "It was a relief that in the context of abject poverty, extreme hunger, monumental corruption, insecurity, and state capture that the APC government has unleashed on Nigerians, a group of eminent Nigerians can come together to form a formidable force to stem the tide and save democracy in our country," he said. That's really food for thought this morning. For more on that story, you can check it from The Guardian. 2027 election will be APC versus Nigerians, not parties, ADC chieftain.
Yes, and still on the political space, 2027 presidency in panic mode, ADC coalition alerts. Nigeria's new political coalition, African Democratic Congress, ADC, yesterday accused President Bola Tinubu's administration of being in a panic mode ahead of the 2027 presidential election. Characterizing the government as embarking on calculated incompetence, the coalition stated that the administration's sudden reform push was not born out of compassion or policy, but of political panic, sparked by the growing influence and credibility of the opposition. For more updates on that, this day newspaper is your guide.
And away from political stories on to another story from The Punch, which says NDLEA seizes UK Saudi bound cocaine hidden in lipsticks. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has intercepted cocaine concealed in lipsticks and a property title document bound for the United Kingdom and Saudi Arabia, respectively. Operatives of the Directorate of Operations and General Investigation, talked to a logistics firm in Lagos, discovered the consignments on Thursday. A statement by the anti-drug agency on Sunday indicated. The statement by the agency spokesperson Femi Babafemi stated that a total of 420 grams of cocaine were hidden in 84 pieces of factory-fitted female lipsticks heading to the UK, while 280 grams of the drug were found inside a certificate of occupancy be sent to Saudi Arabia. Well, the scourge of drug trafficking is still holding a cloud over Nigeria. NDLA seizes UK Saudi-bound cocaine hidden in lipsticks. That's another story you'll find inside The Punch today.
And from World Bank, Nigeria stuck in lower middle income economy below Libya, Gabon. For the umpteenth time, the World Bank has classified Nigeria among lower middle income economies in its 2025-2026 country income classification, below war-torn Libya as well as Gabon. While Nigeria retained its position, some African countries like Algeria, Botswana, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Libya, and South Africa are placed higher among the upper middle income economies. The World Bank stated that for the current 2026 fiscal year, low income economies are defined as those with a gross national income per capita calculated using the World Bank Atlas method of $1,135 or less in 2024. The complete report, this daily newspaper is your guide.
All right, on to another story from The Punch. It's not exactly political, but it has to do with the political space coming from Taraba State. Deputy Governor's 8-month absence sparks Taraba's political storm. A sitting deputy governor absent for 8 months. As the health of the deputy governor of Taraba State, Alhaji Aminu Al-Khali, continues to generate heated political discourse, a deeper analysis reveals a complex web of political maneuvering, constitutional ambiguity, ethnic expectations, and institutional silence, all converging to test the fabric of Taraba's democratic stability. Nearly months have passed since Taraba State Deputy Governor Alhaji Aminu Alkali quietly exited the public scene on medical leave. What began as a private health concern has since snowballed into a full-blown constitutional debate, with political undercurrents threatening to erode public trust in the state's governance structure. At the heart of the storm is not just the prolonged absence of a high-ranking public official, but the silence that has enveloped it and the power games that have followed it in its wake. The vacuum created by Alkali's extended medical leave has invited intense scrutiny from legal minds, civil society groups, ethnic associations, and citizens demanding transparency and accountability from the state's top leadership. Coming from Taraba State and, well, being brought to you by The Point this morning, Deputy Governor's 8-month absence sparks Taraba's political storm. That's a story that actually needs to be assessed and, I don't know, analyzed by political pundits.
Sure. And from the Daily Sun, Custom warns against fake recruitment CBT shortlist. The Nigerian Customs Service (NCS) has debunked a fake press release currently circulating on social media and messaging platforms, which forcefully claims that a computer-based test for recruitment is scheduled for July 2025. In an official statement issued by Abdullahi Maiwada, Assistant Comptroller and National Public Relations Officer, the NCS described the circulating information as fraudulent, misleading, and not from the Nigerian Customs Service. For more updates on that, the Sun newspaper is your guide.
Right. Well, do you have any foreign stories there before we move on to sports? Because our time is practically far gone.
Yes, and from the foreign scene, Trump threatens new tariffs on nations supporting anti-American policies of BRICS group. President Donald Trump has threatened new tariffs on any nation supporting anti-American policies of the BRICS group of emerging economies, as he announced tariff letters would be sent out to scores of countries from Monday ahead of a key deadline. In a Truth Social post on Sunday, Trump said the U.S. would impose an additional 10% tariff on any country aligning themselves with the anti-American policies of BRICS, with no exception, though it was not immediately clear which policies Trump was referring to. Now, this is coming after the BRICS meeting was held,
Yes.
which the president attended.
Yes. And he actually said, spoke about the country's expectations and the fact that efforts that have been made to reposition Nigeria
Sure.
in the world.
Yes, and then there's a report that said that though, like, some of the countries disagreed in some things, but they accepted the part of Donald Trump's policies really affecting some countries' economy.
Yes, that's true, because it's not happened before. You know, all these very ridiculous tariffs being placed on imports and exports and all that. It's really disturbing.
Yes.
I think the man wants to control the economy of the world, but the way he's going about it, I don't think there's any rule or regulation that backs his approach to this.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
There will always be a way, I suppose.
Well, a way out of American harassment. I want to believe. On to the next story today, which is coming from the world of sports, and that is one that will gladden the hearts of football lovers of Nigerian extraction. Oshua Babajide's score as Falcons trash Eagles. Well, not the Nigerian Super Eagles now. Nigeria kicked off their quest for a record-extending 10th WAFCON title with a commanding 3-0 victory over Tunisia on Sunday evening at the Stade Labi Zoli in Casablanca. Punch Sports Extra reports. Goals from Asisat Oshuala, Misola Babajide, and Chiwendu Ihezuo underlined the gulf in quality between the two sides in their Group B opener and extended Nigeria's dominance over North African opposition at the Continental Showpiece. The Super Falcons came into the game on the back of a patchy record in recent WAFCON openers, having lost their first matches in both the 2018 and 2022 editions to South Africa. However, they wasted no time putting any nerves to rest. Just 4 minutes into the encounter, Nigeria struck with their first real chance after Nisola Babajide was brought down on the left. She got up to deliver the resulting free kick, which found Australia in the box. That's a good one for Nigeria. And it's coming from the Punch. Oshua Babajide's score as Falcons trash Eagles. That's the Tunisian Eagles, the female Eagles, I dare say.
Yes, and still from the foreign space, mushroom murder trial. Jury finds Australian woman deliberately killed lunch guest with poisoned beef Wellington. Erin Patterson, the Australian woman accused of killing three relatives with a meal of death cap mushroom baked in a beef Wellington lunch, has been found guilty of 3 counts of murder and the attempted murder of the lone survivor. A 12-member jury reached the verdict after around 6 days of deliberation following a 10-week trial in Morwell, a tiny town about an hour drive from the suburban dining room in Loangata, Victoria, where the little lunch was served in July 2023. I wonder what must have been her objective.
Well,
Poisoning her relatives.
I wouldn't know. I really wouldn't know.
All right, for the complete report, the CNN is your guide.
Yeah, so on to another sports story. This one says NSSF, Lords Dolphin Swimming League organizers. That's Nigeria School Sport Federation. The Nigeria School Sports Federation, as well as the Aquatics Federation of Nigeria, has lauded the impact of the Dolphin Swimming League towards the development of talents in the country after the successful completion of its sixth season. St. Saviour's School Ikoyi and Grange School Ikeja have emerged champions of the season 6 of the Dolphin Swimming League. The two schools amassed 1,121.5 and 1,335 points, respectively, across the 4 legs of the season to top the elementary and secondary school categories, respectively. Well, that's all about swimming. People don't really seem to love that sport so much anymore. NSSF Lords Dolphin Swimming League organizers. I hope, well, they begin to catch them young and train good swimmers again. Once upon a time, Nigerian swimmers actually dominated the international space. When you had the likes of Valerie Oloyede and the likes. And that was so many decades ago.
Okay, one more from the foreign space. Texas braces for more rain as death toll mounts to at least 82 with dozens missing. At least 82 people have died and dozens are still missing after devastating floods hit central Texas. In Kerr County, one of the hardest hit areas, at least 40 adults and 28 children have been killed, officials say. Rescuers are still searching for at least 41 people missing, according to state and local officials. Among them are 10 girls and one counselor from Camp Mystic. I mean, this Texas story is really making headlines for the since last week, and it's really bad. Not just happening in Texas, flooding and all. It's happening here in Nigeria as well.
As well, yes. But, well, you know, in a climate, they're better prepared to handle such natural disasters. To have recorded such casualties is not a good thing at all. It's rather unfortunate. Well, I hope that in the coming days, they'll be able to recover and put things back in order. On that note, we want to thank you for joining us on the program this morning and to remind you that, well, at 10 a.m. this morning, we'll be coming your way with Crossfire. That's a current affairs program on this channel. And there we'll be x-raying the most popular parties, you know, in recent times, the ADC and the coalition of a thing. And we'll have a guest, you know, with us all the way from Abuja in the person of Mr. Jide Ojo, a public affairs analyst. Do join us then, because then we'll be shedding more light on the issue of the moment, talking about the ADC and the coalition, or the coalition are the ADC. It seems they're interchangeable presently. On that note, I want to thank you for making time to be with us this morning and to express our sincere gratitude and appreciation. Well, do keep a date with us again on Wednesday when we shall be coming your way with another edition of this program. Until then, it's still very much Olushola Oyewole, wishing you the very best. Over now to my colleague.
Yes, Grace one for have a lovely Monday.
From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin, all across Nigeria, we bring you news and information that will make your day. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV. From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto